Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to you lovely folks joining me here nice and early over at Marvel Snap Zone. Putting a video aside today for something a little bit different, as I wanted to give you a general update on all things to do with the Marvel Snap Zone Pro Tracker. Something we released a little while ago now. It is still in beta at the moment, but during that period we have been updating it with many more features, many more bug improvements at your request, and things that we also would like to see. So today, I'm going to walk you through the entirety of the tracker, show you some of the new shiny tools in case you aren't familiar with them, and see whether or not it's something you want to be downloading to improve your game yourself. If you haven't already, there is an installation guide available in the original beta tracker announcement video. I'll link that to you above as well. Alternatively, the article for the tracker download will be in the description below, so you can go and give that a click, go read the page. It'll have all the information you need, any questions you might have answered in an FAQ, and it will walk you through step by step on how to install this tracker. Please just do keep in mind, at the moment, it is PC only, Windows only in this case. We would love to expand that in the future, but unfortunately it's not something we can do right now. It is something we're going to look to achieve later down the line, so please do keep that in mind if you're using it to track your progress. So after you're done downloading the tracker, the actual app itself will look a little bit like this. You'll see a big old box that's got some Marvel Snap Zone branding, stuff to do with your username, your current username on Marvel Snap Pro, and your Snap nickname inside of Marvel Snap, the ability to stop the tracker and restart the tracker if you're finding yourself with any issues at any time, and then a selection of tabs that will take you to the respective website pages to contain all the information you might want to see. So first of all, we'll run you through the ones that won't take us away from this box. At the very top here, you can switch over to settings if you prefer. This will show you any options you'd like to kind of tweak this to your own personal liking. You can have the tracker start every time you boot up Windows, and if for any reason you prefer to disable auto updates, so you have to manually update it yourself, you can certainly do that if you would prefer. Last but not least, you can start this minimize so that it won't pop up for you if you want to start it whenever you start Windows, and you can wipe all settings. So if you'd like to just completely clear everything from the tracker, including your user data and all that wonderful jazz, you can do that over here. Accounts, very much the same thing, just shows you which account is currently linked to the tracker. We've kind of gone into some detail before in that it's important to not link two accounts in this case. More information about that in the FAQ on the download page if you're particularly interested, but it just muddles up numbers and screws up data, so we highly recommend just making sure you link the right Snap Pro account to the right Marvel Snap account. With all that said, let's start flipping on over and seeing what these tabs do and the pages they take you to. So first of all, clicking this collection tab will take you to this lovely page you see here, which should cover your collection in as much detail as we think is possible at this moment in time. It will show you all the cards you own, the rarity they are currently at, and where they are originally obtained. If you want to filter any of this information, you have many ways of doing so. You can filter your current collection by cost if you're looking for cards of a certain type. You can filter by power if that's something you're particularly interested in, or you can filter by source, where they came from, pull 4, pull 5, the power cosmic, so on and so forth. You can sort by name, power, cost, source, or popularity if you prefer. And you have the ability to do a collection filter at the very end here, which is the one that matters for most people. So you can sort by what you own currently and what you do not. So if we take a look at unowned, in my case, you'll see this good chunk of stuff here that is data mined cards and cards that are currently in the game that I do not own. I don't have Galactus, I don't have Helicarrier, and of course I don't have Kang or Kitty Pryde or any of these cards I haven't released yet. So I'll keep track of all the things that I haven't got in the game that could have, and a scroll, and it's nice and easy for me to see. Alternatively, again, if I want to flick through all the things that I do own, I can see my favorite variants, I can see what rarity I currently have things at, all this kind of wonderful jazz to keep track of my collection in full. If we click on matches, we'll find ourselves on this page over here where we have access to all kinds of wonderful information about the games that we've played inside of the Marvel Snap client. So we can, of course, see our overall victories and defeats here, the amount of hours we've played inside of the filtered time, the average win rates, of course, whatever period we may be searching for, the cubes that have been won, the average cubes per game, and the amount of different decks we have used. And again, this information can be filtered if you prefer. If you'd like to search for any particular location, you can do that over here in the top bar that you see at the top here. Search for certain places that you may have played and figure out how you did into those locations. If you want to filter by date, you can do this as well. Start date and end date need to be popped in up the top here, and it will filter to that period of time and show you what you played, how you did, so on and so forth. If you'd like to filter by deck, you have the ability to do that as well. This list will show you every deck you've played while the tracker has been active, and it will show you exactly how you did with that deck over time. So for example, if we click on, I don't know, Moonhulk here, for example, we'll give it a click. It will show you that while I've had the tracker active and we were playing that deck, we had 9 victories and 4 defeats. We played for 0.8 of an hour and had a 69% win rate with this deck, and it will show me every game I ever played with it, all the locations, all that kind of wonderful jazz for a deck like this. If you just want to look globally, you don't have to select a deck. You can, of course, just have this as the empty filter from before, and you won't have to worry about any of that. Alternatively, if you'd like to sort by games, you'll be able to sort by games that included certain cube amounts. Did I win 1 cube, 2 cubes, 4 cubes, or 8 cubes? Give it a click, and we'll see what we can find in this case. And you'll notice that, yeah, we're struggling to find any 8 cube games for Moonhulk. There we go. Took a second. But Moonhulk did not win any 8 cube games ever, so it's really easy for us to figure out how many cubes we're earning with what decks and in what time period. Alternatively, you can search for opponent's nickname. If you remember playing against a certain person, you can find the game you played against them. And last but not least, you can clear filters here on the very end and just take you back to the beginning. So this page is fantastic for keeping track of everything to do with your games played. And more importantly, there's even more details tucked away in the games themselves down here. So we can take a look at this game we played earlier on today, actually, just before we got started. We lost all 3 locations here and lost 2 cubes, somewhat unfortunately. You can see it was quite close all around. 2 locations here being lost by 1 point. We can see what time we played it, how long the game took, what mode it was in, and what card our boosters went to. We can see our opponent, who, if they have a public profile on the tracker, you should indeed be able to interact with, if you'd like to. And then, of course, we can see the data of the deck on the page here as well. So good card dyno here, good win rates, all this kind of stuff, the amount of cubes gained, the amount of games we've played with it, so on and so forth. But more importantly, if you want to see the deck itself, you can give this a click, and it will take you through to exactly that. So if you have a win rate over the last 7 days, over the season, or all time with this deck, you'll be able to gather that information from this page for any particular deck you may click on, and the public win rate of this deck based on all tracked matches from people playing the same archetype. So we have just over 6,000 tracked games on record with a deck that is referred to as Good Card Dino, and this is the win rate across 7 days, the season, and all time with this deck. You'll then be able to see, of course, the full deck list, export it if you like, and take it over into MTG, I just said MTG Arena. It's because I'm looking at the logo. Over into Marvel Snap yourself if you like, and play the deck over there. Alternatively, if you want to edit your own copy, you can do that. And come on down here, it will show you exactly what pools things are from, where cards come from, and any categories they may fall into, any energy curves and power curves, and that kind of wonderful stuff. So plenty of data about the deck, and more about it if you want that kind of information. If we go on back, of course, we can do one final thing here with these games. We can actually watch them back and study our play. So if we click on the very end here, you'll see we spotted a number of opponents' cards as to what they were doing over the course of this game. We've filled in the rest with some suggestions as to cards they may have been playing if you were looking to build a similar deck. Of course, if you do spot things like a symbiote from a location, they are going to appear here, which we're trying to remedy, but it will throw off the math ever so slightly at the moment. So it gives you some suggestions of the kind of things your opponent may have been playing that you may not have seen. They are darkened out, and all the cards that you did see over the course of the game are not darkened, and they are bright here on the top row. We can go down to the turn replay feature down here. You'll see the 3 locations we find ourselves with over the course of the game, and if we start playing the game, we can see how things played out. So this game didn't have a turn 1. No one made any plays on turn 1. On turn 2, I played armor on the left. Turn 3, my opponent played the card that became the symbiote. So again, you'll see there are some errors like this, unfortunately, in the sense that we are still working through a beta, and finding ways to track this properly is kind of difficult, so you will occasionally get some hiccups like this over the course of a game. Same thing on turn 4 for me. I made a symbiote. Turn 5, we made some plays with Aero pulling Wolfsbane, an opponent playing an Ironheart, and then on turn 6, they managed to dump enough power, including Silver Surfer, into the left-hand side to beat the Devil Dino. So we get to watch this full game in replay and figure out what we maybe could have done differently over a course of a game, which I think is personally a fantastic feature that I am a really, really big fan of. If you're just looking for information about the decks that you have played or the decks that other people are playing, the Marvel Snap deck section, when you click that button, will take you over here. This will give you all kinds of flexibility about everything you could possibly want to know going forward. So to start with, we got a nice chunky list here of decks that we have played recently on the tracker. So it shows us every deck we've built on the account. If we've played games with it while the tracker has been active, that information will be available. If we haven't, it will just show us the deck that we built inside of the client, which is fantastic for that reason as well. So all of your deck lists all banked up here and ready to go, so you can grab them at any of your earliest conveniences. More importantly, there are smart searches available for filters and stuff like this. So if you want to filter decks up top here in advanced decks, budget decks, you have all these options available to you as well. So you can just smart search, you can search by any parameter that you wish. You can use any type here if you're looking for a certain type of keyword or effect. You're looking for cards to destroy or on reveals, stuff like this. Any archetype you may particularly want to be looking for. If you're looking for Death or Mr. Negative, Lockjaw, the Dinosaur decks, if you're looking for an archetype, you can indeed come and find it if you prefer. If you want decks that only have YouTube guides tied to them, you can even filter for that if you like. Any source here lets you filter by pool, so if you're not worried about cards, you don't have to worry about this too much, but if you want to filter by decks that contain cards from certain pools only, you can do that up here in the top corner. You can of course clear any filters. You can sort by date if you want to sort by any time between certain patches, the last 30 days, the last 7 days, all available, so on and so forth. Really easy stuff. So we can of course sort by date, views, win rate, cubes, anything you may want to sort your information for one way or the other. It's very, very good at doing exactly that. If you want to search by certain cards, you can do this as well. And then we have some more advanced filters down here. If you want to search by things like the starter metagame, the community tab, if you're missing cards, if you just want to find every deck that you can play, you can of course click the playable tab and it will show you playable cards based on what you have and the things you have available to you. Things you're able to currently play with the cards that are in your collection, which is fantastic. It's nice to have this bank available. Of course, you can click on any of these decks and take you through to a very similar page to the one we saw before for data being tracked. We've not played any games with Bounce Thanos with the tracker active, so there is no data available for it, but we can still export the deck list, edit it, and see everything about it, even though we haven't played any games with it. Last but not least, I can take you through to the Progress tab here. You'll see some things have been adjusting as we go here as well. You can see your full progress over the course of collecting cards in Marvel Snap. So you'll see the total number of cards that you have collected. I currently have 94% of cards available in Marvel Snap on this account, which is kind of lovely. We're completed all the way up to pool number 3. In pool number 4, we have 3 out of 10 of those cards and 5 out of 10 of the pool 5 cards. And we, of course, have the Power Cosmic and the Recruit Season available. These will be added to the Savage Land season very shortly. This is an update that still hasn't been pushed at this moment in time. You can see on the right here, collection by rarity. So if you currently have a certain number of cards at a certain rarity, you'll be able to track what is currently at what as well. For example, I have one card that is currently just at common. That is Darkhawk, because we've just acquired it from our shop and it hasn't been upgraded at all. Otherwise, it will show me where everything is in its rarity. You'll see that I currently have 88 cards with an infinite version. If we scroll on down, you'll see our current rank progress. Now, this is very, very cool. It lets you keep track of those season resets. Of course, this is only data that's going to track when the tracker is active. So you'll see that we turn it on for the streams the majority of the time and not always active for myself. Something I should probably get better at fixing. But it will show you when you hit certain rank floors. It will show you the number of games played. It will, of course, show you the kind of all-round curve of progress towards ranked. So you'll see that we made it up to Infinite last season, of course, with rank 103, and then after the reset we came down to 78, and we have since been back up to 80 in the small handful of games we've played on the tracker. Good progress to know, good progress to have, and a very cool tool in my opinion. You also have your collection level progress. This is a very sweet feature in my opinion. I love this. This will show you when you opened each card, so you'll get to see where on the collection track you opened every card. We hit Okoye here, we hit Infinite here, we hit Leech here, so on and so forth, back in pool number 3. And of course, filtering through Green Goblin, Wong, Doctor Doom, Sabretooth Destroyer. You just get to see when you opened up every single card along the collection level progress track, which is great. Follows you up to the curve. Unfortunately, at the moment, there is still some tinkering to do. For example, the winter variants are still being seen as new cards. So we're seeing Rockslide and Patriot here as winter variants I opened, even though I've owned the cards for a long time. But we're doing our best to filter through those variants and make that cleaner as we go. So fantastic feature. Looking forward to having it perfected over time. If we go on up to our profile page here on the actual website itself, we can also see more details about ourselves. This is the kind of stuff that we love to have data-wise. So you'll see your title in game, your current name, when you've been snapping since, the rank you are currently at, and your current collection level. And of course, this will let you filter through any variants you collected recently, any cards you upgraded recently, cards you collected recently, and if you played games on any particular day, it will show you the stats for those games as well. So for example, we scroll on down, we see that we got the winter variant of Ebony Maw and upgraded Valkyrie to Infinity, and also got the Spider-Man variant upgraded to Infinity as well on the 29th of December. We played a small handful of games. Moon Surfer didn't go very well for us, Moon Hulk did, and overall our win rate was positive after playing for about an hour. So it's all kinds of data that we can find, all the variants we collected, games we played on the tracker, and how our day went, available on a calendar on your profile for you to keep track of this way as well, if you prefer, which is fantastic in my opinion. If we go over to the settings tab here, you'll see there are a few more things you can do if you prefer to. You can set up an email, your nickname, your password changes if you prefer. If you want to link your social media so that anyone finding your deck lists on the tracker can come and find you, that is a thing you can do. If you'd like to share your decks with the community, just got to click this button here and you'll be able to share them out to everybody else. Otherwise, your stuff will be kept private. Last but not least, if you want to connect this account to your Marvel Snap Zone collection, or you want to connect it to your Twitch account, you can do so with these buttons that are now here. Just give them a click, it'll take you through to an option feature to confirm a synchronization, and you'll be able to do that with just a press of a few buttons, which is lovely, lovely stuff. Last but not least, we've got one other cool feature I want to take a look at this time around. It is currently our leaderboard for Marvel Snap. This is a fan favorite at the moment, and I really like talking to people. People like feeling like they're competing for something, which is great. So we like to rank the people that are using the tracker and show you their best progress from the games that they have tracked. So for example, the top of the leaderboard right now contains a few people. We've got people with the Infinite title already, a few people that have already got here this season. In fact, we currently have on the tracker a good handful of people, 32 in fact, that have already made it to Infinite in the first 6 days of the season. So if you're interested in their progress, you can see all kinds of stuff about them on this public leaderboard. You can see their current collection level, the amount of games they've played, their tracked win-loss rates, their average queues per game, and more importantly, you can come and see the deck list they use to do it. So if you want more information about what they were playing to achieve these ranks so early, why things have been going so strong for them, all you got to do is give the deck a click, and it'll take you through to the deck that has been being used by that individual. So you'll see here, top of our leaderboard, the deck they are currently using is this Leader Leech style deck with a Silver Surfer payoff. So this is quite interesting, some 3-cost cards, and finishing up with Leech Leader as the endgame package with all these 3s. Gives you all the data you could need about where these cards come from. Again, curves, powers, abilities, and the win rates of the tracked games on record for this deck, which is very, very cool. And this will always show the most used deck on the tracker for any player you may scroll down to take a look at. So much the same, if we look at Momo here, for example, who's at rank 101, Negative Surfer has been the best deck for them, and their season this time around on the tracker has not been very good, but their all-time win rate, not so bad all round with this deck. So yeah, plenty of information to gather here on this leaderboard, and personally I think it is a fantastic feature all around. Last but not least, we've got a metagame share over here that I think it's important to break down for you as well. All you got to do is come click meta in the top corner if you want to access this page while you're here as well. And it'll give you a meta snapshot that we are using to inform our tier lists going forward. So more importantly, there is a number of ways to filter the meta snapshot based on your current rank. So you can see what the meta looks like roughly around you. If you want to filter in any particular way, you can of course filter by win rate, average cubes, deck count, wins or losses, depending on which of these you particularly think is the most relevant statistic for you. Or you can filter through by searching for certain types of deck all the way round if you prefer. There's all kinds of stuff you can click here to just filter by certain super types, things like destroy, anything that contains ongoing cards, if that's all you happen to care about one way or the other. This is getting very weird seeing my own face on the embedded videos. But if we want to filter by rank, we can do that. We can of course flick through to rank 80 to 99, and we'll see that in this period we have a meta share, though. The amount of people that were playing the Negative Surfer deck was about 14% of the metagame up here, but its win rate overall was actually under 50% with a 0.172 average cubes per game, whereas a deck, for example, like Ongoing Destroyer, it only had an 8% metagame share, but a 51% win rate. And again, this is kind of where the filter comes in here. If we don't want metagame share to be the dominant factor, we can switch this. If we want to look at average cubes per game as the biggest thing, well, between 80 and 99, Wong Ongoing was in fact one of the better decks right now to have the best average cube rate overall, but the reason for that is because the meta share is so small. So of course, the people that were playing it are going to have pretty good average cube rates because they're not being bogged down by so many other people playing it. But we can keep scrolling. We can see, for example, Patriot had a good average cube rate, decent win rate as well, with a slightly higher metagame share, and we can analyze all this information just by filtering through in whatever way we may wish to filter. If all we care about is win rate, the current highest win rate deck, regardless of cubes, in 80 to 99 at time of recording, was the Leech deck at 57%. But of course, if we move our metagame down to ranks 50 to 79, you'll see the Leech that remains constant, which is kind of scary, actually. Goes to show you this deck is the majority pull 2 cards, so more people have access to it. If we move on down to 20 to 49, for example, you'll see that, however, the top levels and the top layers you see here are, in fact, Patriot and Spectrum Ongoing. So good to be able to filter by whatever rank you are currently at. Infinite or higher, same kind of story here. Good win rate on the Leech decks, which is very much a telling story all around. So plenty to look at, plenty to keep in mind. Great way of looking at a dedicated meta snapshot targeted towards where you currently are in Marvel Snap. There are many more features over here on Marvel Snap Pro associated with the team at Marvel Snap Zone via the .gg network, and doing some fantastic work at tying this tracker together and trying to give you more tools to improve your game in Marvel Snap. If you have any questions or concerns, there are a number of places you can find us. You can leave a comment in the comment section down below, or you can come and join us in the community Discord. Several thousand players over there talking Marvel Snap 24 hours a day, and our lead developer of the tracker app does spend their time in there as well, so it's easy for them to answer your questions if you've got any by going and speaking to them over there. If you haven't already, please do consider subscribing to the channel. Would love to see you for more things Marvel Snap in the future, and feel free to come and join us for a live stream sometime soon. We're live tonight once again at 6:30 PM GMT for more games with all of you live here on YouTube. But until then, I have been HowlingMines, you've been amazing, and this has been Marvel Snap Zone. Take care of yourself. Have a good one.